Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today, I want to talk about the 5 ways that I have found that you can pay a house off early. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I've been working on this now for 2 years to try to figure out what the best way for me to pay off our little rental house is. So I'm going to run through the 5 ways, and I think the best way for me to do this is just to tell you how I have progressed through this. Right after I bought that little house, I had decided that with each payment, let's say my payment was $200, and then I had a copy of the amortization schedule that showed how much of that went towards principal, and I would make an additional principal payment each pay. Theoretically, that should cut the loan in half. So if I had a 30-year loan, I could pay it off in 15 years. My goal was to make a minimum of a $100 principal payment every month. That would have cut it way down, like, down to maybe 10 years. And I did the first one, and then of course I had scummy people in there, and I wasn't able to do that because in order to pay the house off that way, I was relying on them for rent. Not a sound way. So then I thought, okay, so we got serious about saving money a year later because of a banker. I did a couple of videos on that. I don't want to go into that now. But anyway, so we got serious about it. We started doing videos. I started becoming more and more frugal and saving more and more cash. So then I thought, well, why don't I just save the cash? And I figured up I could pay that house off in 2.5 years. Just by saving the cash. When I get the cash, go write a lump sum check. And I thought, that sounds like a good idea. So we did that, and that's been our goal for about 1.5 years. Yeah, that's about right. So then I started thinking about it, and I thought, okay, so why do I need to pay that house off as soon as possible? If something happens to me, I would rather my kids have cash money than an asset they may or may not want. So then I thought, the reason I want to pay the houses off at all is because in 5 years I want to buy my duplex. And in order to do that, I can't have any other debt because the banks in this area will not count the cash that that property generates towards my duplex. They will count the debt, but not the income. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. As long as I know the rules and the rules don't change, we're all on a level playing field, and I'm okay with that. I'll just have to deal with it. So then I thought, well, why don't I just save money for 4.5 years, and then at the 4.5 year mark, go over and pay the house off, and then go apply for my duplex. So do both of those in the same year. And I thought, well, that makes more sense to me. I mean, because now, the pro to paying it off in 2 years would have been more cash flow. But when you figure in taxes and insurance and what I'm currently taking out of the property, we're only looking at an increase of maybe $200 a month. And that hardly seems worth giving up the entire cost of the property. So then I thought, I think that's what I'm going to do. I will just save as much cash as I can between now and just before I want to buy the duplex, and then I'll pay it off. Now, in the meantime, we're in the process of closing on another little rental house. That little rental house cost $1,000 less than the other ministry house, okay? And we're going to rent it for the same amount, hopefully. And the cash flow will be the same, and the same is going to apply. I mean, I will be able to pay it off in 4.5 years. So my thinking here is, without any changes in my income or my expenses, in 4.5 years we will be able to pay off both of those houses, and my net savings will be about $10,000 more than I have right this minute. That sounds like a better goal to me. That way to pay off your house really depends on saving cash. Now, that's the process that I have gone through, and that's where I currently stand. Now, there are other ones that I have heard of. One of them is to make your house payment every 2 weeks. Now, that I don't mean a full house payment. I mean you make, like, if your payment is $300 a month, you write a check for $250 every 2 weeks. Now, the reason you do that is because there are 52 weeks in a year and only 48 weeks in months. So that means if you make monthly payments, you'll make 12 payments. If you make bi-weekly payments, you will make 14 payments every year. I don't really like that one because you're still paying interest. If it were me, what I would do is I would make principal payments. Pay your payment just like you normally do every month, and then every other week, whatever cash you have available, put towards the principal on your loan, and you get that number off the amortization schedule. Now, if you have enough cash on hand that you can physically make the payments yourself without renting it out, I would do that. And then whatever money you make on renting it out, you keep enough out for expenses, and the rest you put towards principal. Now, that's kind of a luxury payment, and that's only if you've got the cash. I mean, like, if you live in a place where you don't have to pay rent and you still have income coming in, that's a possibility. I mean, you'll still be making your payments every month, but your tenants will be making your principal payments for you, and that'll pay that off pretty darn quick. Okay. Now, all of these methods rely on you being able to make extra payments. So when you get your loan, you make sure there's no prepayment penalties. Now, there usually isn't, because paying off your loan is a prepayment penalty, and if they charged you a penalty, but that used to be a thing. So make sure there's no prepayment penalty, and every extra payment you make, you write a note on a sticky thing and put it on the check, and you hand it personally to the banker and say, I want this applied towards my principal, not as a regular payment. Because if you don't do that, those bankers are just going to think that's a partial payment, and boom, it goes right into the interest and they make the money. When you make the payment directly to the principal, they're not making interest on that payment. That just reduces the principal. So you make your payment, and then whether you do it bi-weekly or monthly or whenever you get cash, however you decide to structure it, you make sure that your money goes towards the principal and not just towards the loan payment. There's a big difference. If you have any other questions about that, you can leave it in the comments below, or make a trip into your banker and talk to the loan officer and ask him how to go about doing that. It's important, and if you're going to pay your house off, it's real important you get that right. Well, that's about all I wanted to say. You guys have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.